Welcome back to another episode of the Two Balls, One Basket podcast, a podcast of the Playbook Sports Network. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at PlaybookSN and visit our website, playbooksn.com. As always, I am your host, Jordan, and with me today is recurring guest, Zak Sadik.
How's it going? How's it going?
Zak, I haven't talked heat with you in a minute, so let's fucking get it on the road.
All-Star break, baby. Let's do it.
All right, so we haven't talked about Terry Rozier since we acquired him, so we'll just flat out start there. What do you think about the Terry Rozier addition? I'll go after you because I'm quite fond of it.
Because you have thoughts. Um, I mean, obviously it's been a few weeks since it's happened, and it hasn't been the perfect marriage between the Heat and Terry Rozier. But even back when the move happened, I wasn't exactly thrilled about it. I didn't necessarily see it as the big improvement that the team needed, and I didn't see it being worth giving up one of those valuable picks uh, to acquire him. Um, but what's done is done. The deal has been made, so there's no point in going back about assets and if it was overpay or if they should have done it at all. The important thing is looking forward and seeing if he will be able to help this team come playoff time. Um, he's hurt, so you don't really get a great picture of what he's capable of doing. And it wasn't that pretty when he was playing, but um, he does add a slightly different dimension to the team. Um, I think there's a lot of overlap between him and Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
So he's basically a Tyler hero with better ball handling, better point guard, uh, handles and passing and stuff like that. So I don't think they'd be a great fit on the floor together. Um, but we have to wait and see and see if these guys can get accustomed to each other and get some chemistry going.
I think the acquisition's getting a bad rap because he was acquired during a losing streak, and then the team
And then
continued
lost.
the losing
Yeah.
streak, which is like completely normal. A move like that, it takes time to get acclimated. Everybody's got to learn how to fit in. Everybody's got to learn what his tendencies are. Because take this Heat team, for example. I'd say maybe 80-90% of them have been together for what, 3, 4, 5 years. So they all know each other. And then you
The
just
Heat
add this
system is
new
very
guy.
specific.
Yeah. You add this new guy in that's playing 20, 25, 30 minutes, handling the ball most of the time. It takes some time. But if the fit with Tyler, if they're the same kind of player, Heat fans love Tyler Hero, or well, most Heat fans love Tyler Hero. So it's like, if you don't want to fucking trade him, go get another one of them.
One of the it's thinking too far ahead at this point, but one of the possible outcomes of the Terry Rozier trade is Tyler becoming expendable because you have similar skill set at a cheaper contract. Maybe the team looks to you know flip Tyler for something in the off season. Um, I mean, like I said, it's too early to start talking about it, but I forget what coach was famous for saying it, but in the NBA, overlap is death. And if you have too much overlap between players and not enough kind of diversity or specialists, it's going to be your downfall.
So I think another reason the fit looks so clunky is because the Heat went to get him because of his scoring ability. They didn't go get him because he is a facilitator. They didn't go get him because he's a lockdown defender. They got him because he's averaging 24 points a game. That's what you need. Bam, for some reason, doesn't do it all that much in the playoffs. You can't rely, although we haven't been proven that we shouldn't rely, on playoff Jimmy every single year. You need another player like this because we all know that as soon as the playoffs hurt, Tyler Hero is going to sprain his ankle and he's going to be out for 6 months.
I mean, it is a good backup plan in the short term. The question about worth giving up assets that you could have used for someone else that could have actually been an improvement, that's where the debate really starts.
I think Terry Rozier needs to just play his game. He needs to play how he played in Charlotte. I know that the situations are different. Over there, he was getting buckets on a trash team. Here he's playing hopefully for a championship or at least contending for a championship. He's got to play his game. If
And
you
that's the
play this
thing.
game, everybody else will adapt. Then we really get to see if this move was worth the first round pick, which I still don't think is all that valuable. The Heat are never bad. It's going to be a late first round pick anyway.
I mean, late first round picks is what got Damian Lillard, but hey, I'm not going to go there anymore. But as far as Rozier's slow start, I mean, think of it when, if you changed schools when you were a kid, or if you changed jobs as an adult, you don't go in there like you own the place. You go in there, you get accustomed to people. Like, you can tell that Terry isn't necessarily comfortable playing his game yet,
Mhm.
because he's still getting that rhythm with the other guys, and he doesn't want to step on other people's toes because he's the new guy. It's not, this team coming to him. He's coming to this team, and he has to kind of figure out his role. And no matter how many times Spo says just shoot it, or you have the green light, like he does to everybody, it takes him time to build that trust and to be like, oh, I actually can shoot whenever I want to. Oh, I can actually run the point and feed Bam like this. So, it'll take some time to get acclimated to it. And I think that's another reason why the Heat don't tend to make very many midseason splash trades. I don't remember the last time they actually did, other than, Dwayne Wade's return. But the midseason trades, they always tend to start off slow because there's no practice, there's no buildup in the offseason.
And plus, it was that period of, I think it was in the middle of a road trip that kind of like sprinkled in a game in here in Miami. He didn't really get any practice his first 2 weeks here. He's
Right.
been living in a hotel. So
He's practicing mid game.
yeah, I'm excited for it. My thing is I do see the overlap between him and Tyler Hero. So now I'm wondering, do you maybe bring one of them off the bench? And if you do, I'm not even going to ask which one because it's going to be Terry because there's no way they're not putting Tyler back on the bench.
The problem with that is Terry's a point guard. Without Terry in the lineup and Tyler in the lineup, there's no point guard. And you're trusting Tyler to be point, or Bam be point, or Jovic. I mean, who runs the point?
It's not Jovic. If I hear one more motherfucker say Jovic is the point guard, he's not a point guard. He never will be a point guard. I don't care if he can play it. He's never going to do it. It's not happening.
Point justice all over again.
But it's like, I agree. I think it should be Tyler to go to the bench. Is it going to
In a
happen?
perfect
No.
world.
For some reason, he's got this thing in his head that if he doesn't start, it's the end of the world. Who cares if you start? You finish the game. You're a good closer. You're an exceptional closer, I might argue. If the game is like that, I want him to have the ball. That's who I choose over Jimmy, and I'm a Jimmy fanatic. Duncan Robinson should be in the starting lineup. But they're not going to do it because Tyler got paid. Tyler said he's earned the starting spot. Who gives a shit? Man, Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams, these guys were great, and they stayed on the bench.
I mean, you're right. It has different things at play here. There's pride. Tyler Hero, for whatever reason, has this complex where he thinks that he's a failure if he's not in the starting lineup. Like that. Obviously, every NBA player probably feels that way, but it's a very childish way of thinking. Because, like you said, he's still getting his minutes. He's still closing the game. But there's a sense of pride there at starting, and like a sense of accomplishment for him. Saying that he's an NBA starter. But you know, he got paid. It's not like the Heat are saying you're not good enough to be a starter. They're paying him to be a starter. But if the chemistry lends itself to him coming off the bench and firing up that second unit, why not? He's already proven he can come off the bench and absolutely destroy for a season. He won the damn award. So that would be ideal, and it obviously seems like that's the best. That's when the chemistry is the best. Um, but like you said, I don't see it happening just for all those reasons beyond basketball.
Does it even matter? Like, it doesn't matter to me. It probably doesn't matter to you. Would you even think it matters that if you're coming off the bench, but you're still playing 32 minutes a game?
I mean, it's easy for me to say no. I mean, if I was getting paid to be the top three player on the team and getting the minutes and finishing the games, I would honestly I would bite the bullet. I'm closing the game, and that's what matters.
Yeah, all that matters is you get one of the fucking rings. You put them on your finger. You can get all five.
The
So
15th man gets the same ring.
thank you. Even you get the same ring as the guys that wipe your sweat off when you fall.
Exactly.
So now let's get on to our next edition. A couple years ago, DeLon Wright gave Tyler Hero hell in the playoffs. So how do you make sure you prevent DeLon Wright from giving him hell again? You go get him.
Oh man.
So that he get DeLon Wright in the buyout market. I think it's a pretty good move. Good point of attack defender. I don't have the stats. I forgot to ask David to get those for us. But I'm pretty sure he's top 3 in pass deflections. He's top 3 in steals. He's shooting, I think, 39% from 3. And he's a point guard. He's a taller point guard. What do you think of this acquisition?
I didn't I didn't realize that he was a point guard, honestly. I mean, call me a casual or whatever, but obviously he's taller. I thought he was like a 2 or a 3, but
He's not a point guard. He's at this stage in his career, he's just a guard.
yeah, a
He can
combo
play
guard.
either.
So I mean, it's not going to do much. I I mean, he's a decent player. The Heat could probably get the most out of him as far as his effort level and him being a decent defender. But as far as playing him in the playoffs, like probably not much of a needle mover. Um, but so we'll see. But it's depth, in case there's another injury. Terry's currently hurt. There were some bigger names on the buyout market, or bigger names that could be on the buyout market, who I would have been more interested in. But it's a consolation prize, and it's depth at the end of the day.
See, it's hard with the new CBA rules because it's like the Heat can only afford a certain type of player. It's not like the old days where it's like, oh, it's like Kyle Lowry gets just an example. He's making a shit ton of money. He gets bought out. The Heat can't go for him.
I don't understand. I guess the 76ers had you know are in a decent cap position, but with the players that they have, I'm surprised that they were able to sign Kyle Lowry, because the way that the new rule is, if you're above the second apron of the salary cap, you can't get someone on the buyout market that was making more than $12 million a year or something like that. So basically, last year the Heat wouldn't have been able to get Kevin Love. And this year, like you said, we wouldn't have been able to get Kyle Lowry if he had been bought out. But somehow the
I don't think the
76ers are in a
Sixers are in
better
the second
position.
apron, though. I don't think any team is in the second apron besides Phoenix.
Well, then it's over the first apron then. Whatever the case is, like the Heat wouldn't have been able to get Kyle Lowry if someone else
Mhm.
had bought him out. So I guess Philly's in a decent position until they pay Maxey. But I was surprised by that.
I think this acquisition was long-term thinking. It helps now a little bit. If you have to rest Terry, if you have to rest Tyler, we all know Tyler is going to miss some games, whether they be rest or a headache or an ankle sprain, whatever.
Hmm.
I think this pick was later on when they see the Boston Celtics in the playoffs. Because he's a guy that he can guard Derek White. He can guard Drew Holiday. I might argue he's the exact same player as Derek White, just not ugly. Well, he's a little ugly, but he's not bald.
Yeah, I mean, hey, he should be an all-star, right?
Probably.
Same player.
It's for teams that have those dominant guards, like even Milwaukee. Like I guarantee you, if we see Milwaukee, you're gonna see him play some minutes, and he's gonna be all over Damian Lillard. When we play Boston, he's gonna be all over Drew Holiday. When we play, well, if we play New York again, all over Jalen Brunson. Those are the type of guys he's got to guard. Because if you're gonna go into these series and you're gonna have to live with Tyler Hero guarding Damian Lillard, you're gonna have to live with Tyler Hero guarding Jalen Brunson, you're gonna have to live with Tyler Hero guarding Drew Holiday. Like you're gonna need Jimmy Butler to average 60.
You're right. I mean, he definitely has the potential to be that pest on defense. So that's probably the one place that he'd be able to excel, because he's not an elite, playmaker. He's not an elite passer, scorer, but if he can be a nuisance on defense, that would be a big help in the playoffs.
I mean, his assist to turnover ratio is pretty good. Granted, it's 3-1. It's not
A
that
couple, yeah,
it's not great, but still good.
yeah.
So we like this edition, right? It's pretty good. Relationships matter. Darrell won a
It,
championship here. Now it's DeLon's turn.
it gets an eh. Speaking of relationships, getting players to the Heat, I'm sure you saw the clip about Tim Hardaway saying he's been trying to get his son onto the Heat for
Yeah.
years. I mean, damn, like for years, that means that like every time that Tim Hardaway's been in trade talks in the past, the Heat could have swooped in and gotten him and just have it. But he'd be a hell of a fit.
The teams are probably asking for something that we're not willing to give up.
Right. That's probably the case, but that would be awesome.
I think he isn't he supposed to be free, or he just got paid this last year.
I don't know. I know he's making a good amount of money though.
Yep, so never happening. Um, speaking of shooters, we did our in-season awards. I think across the board, I didn't see yours. Across the board, we have Duncan Robinson as our MVP, right? Or is that just me?
I mean, that's probably more than just you, but I don't know if I would agree with that.
What the fuck happened to him? He's completely It's like the old Duncan. Remember back when the bubble and everything was happening? You're like, oh, Duncan's shooting it, it's going in. Well, he does that, but now he dribbles. Now he passes. Holy wow.
Now he's throwing lobs.
I don't know how many podcasts I've talked about this on, but it's like every time I have this little increment of time between podcasts, he just impresses me more and I have to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. No, he's if he's not the MVP, he's definitely most improved. But he is a big reason why the Heat are even in the playoff picture right now because not many players are actually showing out other than him. You know, Tyler's struggling a little bit. Terry obviously struggling a little bit. Jimmy has his ups and downs and the injury stuff with him and Bam. He's been the most consistent player this season.
So let's talk about this. We're not going to talk about if he should start. Let's theoretically say the decision has been made that he's going to start.
Okay.
What element does he provide to this starting lineup? Say the starting lineup is Terry, Duncan, Jimmy. It's probably going to be Caleb and Bam.
I mean, the easiest answer is spacing and shooting, but when you have a lineup like that where you have a distributor, someone who actually can average 6-7 assists a game, like Terry, uh, and then you have Jimmy and Ben who are both mid range guys around the paint area. Um, that's like a perfect kind of balance for an offense that's constantly moving, constantly spacing the floor and getting open shots. And then you have obviously Caleb who can be inside and out. I mean, Duncan just adds balance, and with his newfound ability to put the ball on the floor and facilitate and attack the rim, he's just adding levels to his game, and it's making that contract look like a discount at this point.
I forgot which podcast, or I don't even remember where I said it. I said it on the Spaces. We went from worst contract in the NBA. We got to attach a pick to get rid of him. To now it looks like he deserves more money. We got him for a steal. We can't believe we just finessed this white boy.
Yep, exactly.
Like how? Oh.
And Eric Spoelstra, bro. Eric Spoelstra, people are starting to call him the best coach in the NBA now, and he's still not getting enough credit. Like he is the new Zen master. He knows how to get his guys going and keep his guys confident.
My one thing is Duncan is our only specialist, which kind of worries me a little bit. But on top of that, this is what I think, and you can tell me if you agree. I might argue Duncan Robinson's also our best passer.
That's a little bit pushing it. He's definitely an improved passer and I would say a good passer now. But I mean, Bam is one of the better playmaking bigs in the league. Let's see who else. I mean, we haven't seen much from Terry, but I would assume that he's a pretty good passer.
I don't know. Throwing these lobs off pick and rolls, the little dump offs, like he gets it, the guy cuts him off and he dumps it out for a three. Like that's a skill. That's not just like making the easy pass. Those are skills that shooters practice.
I'll tell you what though, his lobs may be the best on the team, and his chemistry with Bam, it might be the best two-man game that the Heat have. Because they've been doing it for so many years, even back in the bubble when the offense was basically just the dribble handoff. They've been working off of each other for years. So him and Bam have this chemistry, and I feel like that's part of the reason why he looks like such a good passer because he knows where to put it for Bam to go get it.
It also helps that your center's a freak.
And he can jump over the backboard. Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe if he didn't have Bam as a center, he wouldn't be the best passer. But he has Bam, so he's the best passer. I'm sticking with my argument. Argue with me in the comments. Don't care. All right. So now the All-Star break this year was a little bit later. It wasn't like dead in the middle like it usually is. We have what, like 20 something games left?
27, I think.
27. Okay. Jimmy Butler post workout videos. He had a death in the family. We hadn't heard from him in a while. We were getting worried. We hadn't seen anything on Instagram, nothing on Twitter. He's usually posting his workouts, posting coffee, posting country music songs. I'm excited for that country album he's dropping. Are we going to see playoff Jimmy Butler again? Or is it not a thing? He says it's not a thing, but I think he's a fucking liar.
I mean, it's definitely a thing. He can deny it all he wants, but we've seen it year after year after year where playoffs come and a flip gets switched. Like he has another level he can get to. And I don't know if it's like a different mentality. I don't know if it's just the motivation of win or go home, and Jimmy just has this like dog mentality. But
I don't like my home. I'm not going back.
but I mean, he has this next level, and he may not intend on getting to that level, like kind of like a Kobe or Jordan type mindset. But in those moments, he just goes there, and there's nothing he can do to get to stop it. But we will get playoff Jimmy as he gets older. It's not going to be as frequent or as enduring. Last year, he had it rolling until the injury, and I mean, don't get me started about Josh Hart taking out his ankle, because that stopped what could have been a championship.
That stopped the championship. I'm
Exactly.
convinced that stopped the championship.
Because Jimmy was not the same player after that. He played well against Boston, but in spurts, and he was not consistently the same player after that. But as he gets older, and obviously there can be injuries, but we will get playoff Jimmy, and hopefully he's able to stay healthy and keep it going. But he shows no signs of slowing down. I mean, everyone thought that he's getting older. Last year he wouldn't be able to do what he did. He dropped 56 on the best defensive team in the league and won 5 games to 1. Like, who's doing that? Who's doing that? So he has it in him. I'm convinced it'll show its head again. But obviously, with his personal situation, hopefully he can get past that and be able to lock in. But I'm looking forward to it.
Now, do you think like the Heat's approach to, not getting another star is because they're relying too heavily on playoff Jimmy? It's like at this point they like, okay, well, all we got to do is get to the playoffs and then Jimmy's got it from there. Like, do you think that's how they're looking at this?
It's their fallback option. It makes it easier for them to say no to making big trades. Like hypothetically, let's say the Trailblazers last offseason were asking for all of the picks and all of the young guys and Caleb and this and that, and maybe Duncan or Hero. Like, let's just say that their demand was ridiculous. The Heat would have been like, listen, we're better with our guys and playoff Jimmy than we would be getting rid of these guys and rolling with Dame. Like, that is definitely something that prevents them from making those big swings. But I think that they still want to get those big name guys, but they can't do the deal with themselves. They
Mm-hmm.
need someone else to say yes. So they can make offers all they want. If the other team doesn't want to play ball, they can't force it. So it's unfortunate, but I think that Jimmy being Jimmy makes it easier for them to say no to those big demands.
I look forward to playoff Jimmy. Like, I can't wait until the playoffs because usually it's like, okay, playoff time. I'm excited because there's basketball every day. You get to watch these intense things, but it's like, that means it's getting closer to being done. But I don't give a shit if it's over because if I
Because
get
it's
to
the
watch
best.
Jimmy Butler play like that, do you know how easy it is for me to talk shit? Do you know how much shit I get for being a Heat fan from friends all over? And I get to be like, haha, send a funny Jimmy meme because he's going off. My entire camera roll is my cat. I have 3 pictures of my sister, and then the rest are Jimmy Butler.
All Miami Heat memes. Yep,
All
same
of
here.
them.
I mean, the the thing that just keeps on getting into my head though, and it made it worse this off season.
Tell me.
I mean, not this off season, this All-Star break. What if we had that and a guy that can shoot from half court?
Well,
That's what messes with me, bro.
we're bringing that back.
Listen, we're talking about the Heat, we're talking about the playoffs, and I'm telling you, that's what I'm thinking about. That's what could have been. That's what could have been.
Could have.
Dame's pulling up from half court, and I'm like, that should be us, bro.
It's
That
okay.
should
He's
be
gonna
us.
request a trade
He
again.
could, but then we're a year older, and we got to deal with other shit. Like it was. This was the year for that, man.
I agree. You're not allowed to talk about that guy on my podcast anymore, Zach. I'm over it. I moved on, and you need
I'm
to as
still
well.
I'm still grieving
Well, get over it.
halfway into the year.
The next one I want to talk about is, well, it's not even worth talking about. Well, actually, do you think that he should have traded Caleb Martin at this trade deadline?
I mean, it depends what they could have gotten for him. I doubt someone was trading a first round pick for a guy that's on an expiring contract. If they could have gotten a first round pick, I think they would have, because he hasn't been the biggest contributor this year, and
No,
obviously
no.
getting a first round pick.
Leave the contribution to the side. I'm sick of the Heat having players that, they perform, like they help their developmental projects, but when it comes to them in a contract year, you're not going to be able to afford to pay him. So he's going to walk, get money,
All
and
right,
we're going to get nothing.
listen. The production has to come into play when having this conversation, because think back to last year. Would you rather have a couple extra second round picks for flipping Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, or a fucking playoff run, that a finals run? You can't just give up on it for nothing. Like Caleb was amazing in last year's playoffs, and so if the Heat thought that he would be able to get to that level again or be able to help the team in the playoffs again, then you hold on to him, because this right now is what's most important. And that's what, the shitty teams don't have the luxury of saying. They have to flip guys. Like the Knicks for the longest time, the bad teams, they have to flip guys that they're not going to pay, because they need to stockpile picks and play for tomorrow. The Heat win now. They don't flip for second round picks. So I'm saying if they had a pick, an offer for a first round pick, they would have taken it, because Caleb's not performing the way he was last year.
The Max and Gabe situation is the same, but it's also different, because you say you would have traded Gabe Vincent for second round picks. That means Kyle Lowry and Tyler Hero, your point guards, coming playoff time. That's not good. Max Strus, they weren't playing Duncan at the time, so Max Strus was needed. Now Caleb's expendable. You have Highsmith, who can defend like Caleb. You have Jaquez, who does the same things but better. Who else do we have? I don't even know.
But that's the thing. He's basically
players that make him expendable.
He's basically either the starting four or the backup four right now, still.
Mm-hmm.
And come playoff time, you want a guy that can be explosive. You want a guy that can step in case of injuries. Like, he's still useful if he's performing well. But the fact that he isn't performing well, I would have been open to trading him for, a pick. But I'm not giving up for a second round pick, because that's not worth my finals run if it comes to it.
Okay, well, you said finals, so I guess we'll talk about this now, even though I have it on the list. How far can this team go? Do we think first round, second round, conference finals? Do we get it done this year? Am I getting the playbook guys together for a fucking parade?
When you have Eric Spoelstra as your head coach, Bam Adebayo as a cornerstone of the team, and playoff Jimmy Butler, anything can happen. Now, I think in my mind, just the way I can visualize it, I think last year is the peak of this team. They still match up well against the Bucks, in my opinion. They still match up well against the Celtics, even though the Celtics are probably the best team in the East right now.
The Celtics rely too much on 3-point shooting. It's not sustainable.
But that's the thing. They're not consistent. They get in their own heads. Like, they don't rise to the moment. And so they could take, a 7-game series from Boston. They're better than the Knicks. They're better than, what are the other contenders like? Indiana. The Heat are better than Indiana in the playoffs.
Indiana ain't doing shit.
Right. So the Heat could get through the East again. the West is where you get the problem. And I fully expect the Nuggets to be there at the end, waiting for the Eastern Conference team because they're so stacked. They're a great team and they don't have really any weaknesses. They lost a few pieces and they're not super high in the standings right now, but they're still strong as hell.
The Nuggets. I was just in Denver. I went to a game. Was talking to people. Learned a whole bunch about it. They lost Bruce Brown, a big piece.
Right.
But this
Defender.
kid they got up and coming, Peyton Watson. Oh my God, you don't even care that they lost Bruce Brown. I need Peyton Watson on my team. I was telling everybody, I said, I'll give you guys Doritos, I'll give you whatever you want. Trade him to Miami.
So they got another young guy like the other dude that was dunking on us in the finals.
Yep.
Um, so I mean, like they have a stacked team. Now, if they somehow lose and they don't end up in the finals and the Heat are playing like I don't think the Thunder or the Timberwolves have the experience needed to get through the playoffs. But if the Heat played a team like that where Spo has a definitive advantage at coaching and comparable talent, then it's possible for sure. But if the Heat run into one of these buzzsaws like Denver or even the Clippers, I guess they're on a roll. Like that would be tough to overcome just because of the talent disparity.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think last year would probably be the peak that we see this year. But I mean, last year was a tough road, so they can't go in as the 8th seed again. That would be too tough.
I see. I think it's funny. Everybody I ask, we always have the same thing. Nobody says, "Oh yeah, we're like it's a finals run," or "Oh yeah." We never have a definitive answer. It's always if you have Eric Spoelstra, if you have Jimmy Butler, if you have Bam Adebayo,
You're confident.
anything could fucking happen. You could get swept in the first round, or you could go all the way to the finals, losing Game 7 at the buzzer.
Yep.
There's no in between.
Yep.
All right,
I
Zach,
mean, Spoelstra or Doc Rivers in the playoffs. Who you taking?
Doc Rivers to choke. Gotcha.
Got him.
Uh, that was right in the chamber. I had to spit that one out.
No, you were ready. You were ready.
Fuck Doc Rivers. We're gonna have to have a whole nother thing about just him because he is a moron. All right, Zach.
Hey, that him going to Milwaukee is the best thing that happened to Miami this year.
It really is. Like I just don't understand. I really don't. Even if you're not a good coach, if you have Giannis and Dame, like how are you not good?
Just roll the ball out and let them play. Like, how are you actively losing games?
I think my sister could coach that team to like a 3 seed. And she does, and she only knows that you dribble the basketball. She doesn't know how you shoot it. She doesn't know the rules. All right. My Wi-Fi is terrible, which is actually perfect because we only have about a minute left. Zach, is there anything you want to say before I let you go?
Not much, man. Looking forward to seeing Terry and DeLon do their thing. Hopefully pretty soon, and go Heat.
Go Heat. We got the Pelicans on Friday. Fuck them. Zion, you're fat. Brandon Ingram, you're built like a toothpick. Who else is over there?
Is
CJ
Zion even
McCollum, your
playing?
feet are too big for your body.
Is Zion even playing?
I don't know. And fuck Ray for being from New Orleans or wherever he's from.
Love it.
All right, bud.
All right, take it easy.
Peace.